Stars pulsed like fireflies across the obsidian expanse of the cosmos. Galaxies spun, comets wept, and ancient worlds whispered songs no mortal ear would ever hear. And then, from the farthest edge of reality, a scream shattered everything. It wasn't sound, it was energy, a shockwave of despair. And in the aftermath of that scream came something no one expected: the fall of Asgard. The golden realm, once eternal and unbreakable, had fractured under a new kind of storm. It wasn't Ragnarok, it was worse. An entity beyond all known realms had emerged from the Darkfold, a dimension that predated the gods themselves. It was called Nithurian, the devourer of stars. Nithurian consumed not through war, but through corruption, unraveling reality one thread at a time. It spoke in frequencies that poisoned minds, reducing civilizations to ash. Its arrival was signaled by suns going dark and time stuttering in the throats of dying planets. And it had set its sights on Midgard, Earth. But Earth was no longer unprotected. For Thor, Odinson had returned. He was not the same god he once was. After the fall of the old Asgard and the sacrifice of many, Thor had wandered across galaxies, wielding not only Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, but a deeper understanding of what it meant to protect a universe that feared gods as much as it needed them. At his side was Sarinel, a cosmic empath and warrior from the Androlin system, a woman with the power to manipulate light and emotion. She had fought Nithurian's scouts before, watching her world dissolve into madness. Thor found her in the ruins, and something unspoken grew between them in the silence of shared loss. Now, they stood together aboard the Starforge, a rebuilt Asgardian Vanir hybrid battleship powered by an artificial sun. Behind them, an army of survivors, Kree, humans, Asgardians, Xandarians, readied for what could only be described as the final stand. Nithurians swarm descended on galaxies like locusts, warping black holes into mouths that swallowed ships whole. Every defense crumbled, until Thor struck. Wielding Stormbreaker, channeling the power of the World Tree itself, he led the first charge into the breach, a brutal dance of God and madness, where physics bent around the edge of his fury. Saren was light beside him, weaving shields and slicing through spectral horrors with blades of raw emotion. Together, they reached the Source Heart, Nithurian's true presence, a massive living monolith floating at the center of a dying sun cluster. It pulsed with a heartbeat made of screams. Thor stepped forward. "You face the protector of realms," the son of Odin. Nithurian replied, not with words, but with visions of Earth burning, of Asgard shattered again, of Saren falling from the sky. Thor faltered. He saw his past, every failure, every death he couldn't prevent. Even the death of his brother Loki echoed like a bell in his soul. But Saren reached for him. "I see it too," she whispered. "But fear doesn't own us, not anymore." She kissed him. In that moment, he found his storm again, not just lightning, but purpose. He became the axis around which the impossible would turn. They fought their way into the core, each step a war, each breath stolen from eternity. Thor unleashed the god Tempest, a surge of power so vast it fractured the core of Nithurian's physical form. But the entity wasn't dying, it was adapting, rebuilding, learning Thor. And then came the choice. Saren discovered the heart of Nithurian was anchored, not born, but created by an ancient race that once tried to weaponize entropy. The only way to destroy it was to collapse the entire Darkfold dimension around it. That meant someone had to stay behind to anchor the collapse. "I'll do it," Saren said, without hesitation. "No," Thor growled, voice cracking. "There has to be another way." "There isn't, and you know it." The silence between them was vast. Then Thor took her hands, his forehead resting against hers. "I have faced giants, monsters, even time itself, but I cannot face a universe without you." She smiled. "Then don't. Face it with me." They kissed, surrounded by swirling entropy and burning light. And then she pushed him through the exit gate. The portal snapped shut. Thor landed on the Starforge as the entire sector of space behind him folded in on itself like a scream silenced forever. Nithurian was gone, but so was Saren. The war was over. Galaxies began to rebuild. Survivors whispered stories of gods who bled for mortals, of a light that sang as it fell, of the warrior who faced the unthinkable and smiled. Thor wandered again, not as king, not as god, but as a guardian, a man who knew love and loss and the weight of forever. Until one night, centuries later, deep in the ruins of the Androlin Nebula, Thor stood before a shimmer in space, an echo of the Darkfold, and from it a voice. "You thought I was gone." He turned slowly, heart thundering. From the rift, Saren stepped out, unchanged, radiant, her eyes filled with starlight. "Turns out entropy doesn't know how to handle love." They embraced as stars wept around them, and in that moment, across a grateful cosmos, the legend of Thor and Saren, the god and the light, was written into the very fabric of time. The universe had faced its end and found hope instead.